Hello and welcome to the Old Man Orange Podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Buddy.
And we're coming at you talking all about the latest Mafia game, the old country. And I know it came out about a month ago or something like that, but both me and Buddy went through a playthrough of it, and then we just thought, you know what, let's sit down and talk about this, because this is a really cool experience. And this is one of those series that for years I've always wanted to like dive into, and I know Buddy's played every single one of them. And the only time that I really got to play this game was Mafia 2. My buddy got at Cisco, and I remember sitting over his house on his PS3, and we played for the first 3 or 4 hours of it, and I was like, wow, this is a really cool experience. And just the fact of how great the storytelling was and everything like that, and even the small stuff. Like one scene that always stuck with me was when you get a regular job, because your mom's like, you gotta get a regular job, it can't be like anybody else. You're like, okay, mom, go get a regular job. And so you go down the docks or whatever, and you're literally loading stuff in the back of a truck, and you're load 1, 2, and it's it says something you got to load 50 of these. I'm like, are you kidding me? Is this?
Yeah.
How long am I gonna literally be here loading this? This is real life. And then all of a sudden, after about 4 or 5 boxes, it gives you an option do you want to do this or do you want a real fucking job? You're like, hell yeah. I know. Whenever people go no, I'm fine with this type of work. This will make mother proud. And then the game just goes in a completely different direction. We're like, no, you just load boxes for the next 12 hours.
It moved on real quick. I remember that scene, man. I remember when I finally got around to playing Mafia 2, the actual full game, and really being confused, wait, what? I'm really gonna move boxes from the dock? And then the guy was like, hey, enough of this. Come with me, make some real money, or whatever he said. And I was like, oh, okay. But yeah. And all the games do that in a weird way. All of the games at some point start off with you just doing a real job.
Yeah, you just got some kind of blue collar job, some low end thing, and then finally you move on up. Well, it's finally I said, I'm you know what, I'm going to sit down. I own Mafia 1, 2, and 3, and I've still never sat down and really got into them. They're there. They've been waiting for many, many years. I mean, I even have Mafia 1 on PC. I have that one in the box. It's yep, there it is.
Don't play
that one. I'll get to it. Yeah, I got the definitive edition now, so I guess that would be the one. But
yeah.
But yeah, finally Mafia, the old country, number 4, I finally got around. I'm going to sit down and play this. I popped it in when it came out, and I was just sucked in right off the bat. I was just like, oh, okay, this is great. And I knew I was going to like it. I always knew I was. It's the case of too many video games. Not enough time for so many choices. But this one just happened to fit finally into, it had a scheduled, quadrant of the month. And I sat down and played it, and just from beginning to end, I thought it was nonstop, a fantastic story. Probably one of the best, literally mobster stories I've kind of played. And just the set pieces, the look, the environment, and all the characters and so on like that. I loved every, minute of it.
Well, and honestly, beyond just being a mobster game, because it's a great mobster game, and it's a great story. Man, genuinely, and I haven't played a lot of new games this year besides Assassin's Creed Shadows. I'm a big sucker for those games. But, dude, this one just grabbed me from the start, and it made me want to keep going. Once I started, I couldn't put it down. And, I'm not very good at sitting down and playing a game through to completion fast. Takes me a while. But, dude, with this one, I think I finished it in 5 or 6 days, once I got starting.
Yeah, that was kind of how it was. It's it came in, and then, yeah, it felt less than a week. I kind of went through the whole thing, and I only put in a couple hours, maybe every night or something like that. And I don't know. I think at the very end, my PlayStation says I have 11 hours on it or something like that. And that was just going through all the story and everything like that. And I know you go back and get some of the achievements and so on, but funny enough is that game just always felt like it continued. It wasn't like Grand Theft Auto where you end a mission and then it's well, I can go run around, or I got 4 other missions I can choose from here. What am I going to do? It's this one felt there's a guy. He's waiting for me right there. I might as well walk on over and see what he's got to say.
And I loved that. I think because it's funny because you and I had talked about that when we beat Brutal Legend, that we were saying how we think that if they would have just gotten rid of the open world and let it just flow mission to mission to mission, that it would have been a lot better. And so I'm really glad this one did. I know that this game had quite, like, some of the things I read online, some of the videos I saw where some people were saying that they didn't like it or that they wouldn't give it a shot because, oh, it's not open world like the other ones. Well, and that's fine. I get it too, because that's a big thing for a lot of games. But those same people, at least a lot of them, kind of bashed on Mafia 3 for different reasons. But man, I loved it. Like, I really liked the fact that one mission ended and another one starts, and you can stop, but I didn't want to at all. Like, once I kept going, I just want to keep going, and I didn't. The country was beautiful. They did a really great job with that. And if you want to still explore, you can. There's a separate mode just for that.
Yeah, well, I thought that was the total way to go. Like, to me, it was a perfectly designed game in the way I kind of want to see it. I love the idea that literally it just goes story to story, mission to mission, no worries there whatsoever, and you're not bogged down by a bunch of miscellaneous, like tedious stuff that plagues a lot of open world games. Because really, there's only a few companies that I think that do open world like justice and fine, and a lot of times I think it's Grand Theft Auto, Assassin's Creed. Those are like the two kind of like ones that it felt like they did it, and then everybody else lands. It feels like you're kind of playing the open world, and you're like, this just feels like it's just trying to make your game seem longer than it really needs to be. And I was kind of glad of Mafia that like it ran at that nice length. I mean, like give or take 10 hours to go through the entire story, but you never felt like there was nothing in the way. It was all killer, no filler.
Yeah. And all I did, do a little bit of the open world in the free roam, just driving around just to kind of get the feel of a few things. And I found myself not really wanting to be honest. Like, it's a part of the game mode that I'm okay if I don't really touch. I had talked about potentially going back and trying to get all the collectibles to get the achievements. I'm okay if I don't. And it's one of those things I realized with the last Assassin's Creed game. I opened it up because there's a new DLC coming out, and there's a ton of the map that I haven't even explored, but I beat the game and a ton of the other stuff. And I think I just have that, like, I don't know. I think as I'm playing more games and getting older and realizing there's less time to play games, I just have a little bit open world fatigue for me personally, where I don't want to spend a ton of time just wandering aimlessly anymore. And it's great they have it. It's beautiful. I don't need it.
Yeah, I know what you mean there. Because to me, I feel like that's kind of fine. It reminds me of like when you were a kid and you would only get like one or two video games, like, every few months, maybe, if that even, maybe like, so you had to make a game really last a lot longer. And granted, we were trying to make Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis games last longer, but like a lot of times when a game gives you like this really big, like, it's going to be a 60+ hour long story. I'm like, well, that's great for somebody who only buys like one game like every 4 months. Like, but there's other games coming out that I want to play. So I love it when like I can just get like the perfect experience and just go through it, and you don't got to drag me down anywhere and so on like that.
Yeah, I think, because you said yours is 11, I think mine was 14 hours of a playthrough. But I did go out of my way a little bit to like find some of the pictures and find some of the other collectibles. But man, I love the game. I might replay it on hard difficulty instead of normal. I might not, but dude, I thought it was a perfect game. To me, best game of the year.
Yeah, I kid you not. Like, I love the living daylights out of it. It really made me feel like I got to sit down and play 1, 2, and 3 now. Like, yeah. I've been holding out for way too long, and just this one here, the whole story, and just the fact of, like, you're going to old Italy, like 1904 to 1906. I mean, it literally gives me those same vibes that, Red Dead Redemption does, where it takes you back in the time. And ironically, this game did what I always thought that like a Red Dead Redemption sequel before number 2 came out should have been. Because I always thought that after Red Dead 1, or technically Red Dead Redemption, not Red Dead Revolver, but what they should have done for the sequel, or something that would have been kind of cool, was to have it take place maybe with John Marston's kid, and now it's like, say, in like literally like late 1920s, maybe going into 30s, and you could literally combine both the Western elements and the mobster elements. So you could kind of have the West Side would be all literally cowboys still, because that's kind of how it would have been at that time period and whatnot. Mostly horse riding and all that kind of stuff. But then when you came to the far right, you'd be almost like in a Chicago-like town, and you could have that cool 1930s mobster type stuff, like Mafia 1 in a sense, I guess. But I always thought that would have been such a cool way to blend both Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption together. And of course, they didn't do that whatsoever. They went farther back in time. It's still a great game, but you know what I mean? Like, this game here, I felt gave you that thing where it's like, oh yeah, it's mobsters as in Italians in Sicily area, but you literally have both that combination of like the Western elements with riding the horse around and all kinds of things like that. To now you're getting very early days cars, which are sweet to drive.
That reminds me, did you check out playing with it in like where the cars feel heavier, like I guess the true mode or whatever it was called?
Where they drive kind of like they drive like the way they're supposed to drive as far as old-fashioned cars. Yeah, that was kind of interesting. And the other thing I liked too is the fact that they had a manual mode, so you could actually shift with those vehicles. I played the whole game that way.
I never messed with the manual. I did like the car in the heavier mode. From what I remember, and it's been a while since I played the other ones, but I don't think they gave you the choice for that until Mafia 3. They just handled heavier. And Mafia 3 gave you the choice, but I mean, it was supposed to be in that time period. I like that. So I was glad that they gave you the choice for that.
No, I thought that was cool. I remember my buddy Cisco, like, that was the thing that bothered him in Mafia 2, is he didn't like the way the vehicles drove. I think that made it so he didn't want to play it anymore because of that. It was like, oh, okay.
And I get it though, because we all got so used and spoiled with GTA, and they handle like a dream. They handle like a perfect car today would. They don't handle like a car from 1910 or 12, whatever it is.
Yeah, especially if you put on like the code where the cars all like take, hairpin turns, like no problem. Doesn't matter which one you're driving.
Yeah. But yeah, all in, I like the way it handled. The horses felt good. Even like the horses actually, they handled really well and really nicely, realistic. I can't think of a flaw in this game, and I'm sure there might be. Nothing's perfect, but.
No, I can't either. It's like even like there was small details. Like I remember because like when I was playing this game, I was literally listening. I ran across this Franco Columbo audio book that he had based off one of his workout books from the 70s. But it wasn't like he just read the book. Instead, he sat down with another guy and they just had a back and forth conversation on each chapter. So it's just like you're listening to like a long 6.5 hour podcast. And Franco was talking about a story where like him and Arnold Schwarzenegger, when they had their like construction business and whatnot, they went to build this wall down in Los Angeles area, maybe Santa Monica or something like that. And he told the guy, he's like, well, what we do in Italy is, when we finish the top, we put a bunch of broken glass on there and so on like that, so people can't like just jump up and go over. It's like a security thing and stuff. And so Arnold went down to the liquor store, bought a bunch of like alcohol bottles, and then they like smashed them all up there and put it in there and sealed it. And he's like, about a week later, the guy calls back saying like, oh, the county came by and said you cannot have this whatsoever on this thing. He's like, and we just ignored the calls and changed our number, never went back and fixed it. And lo and behold, that long story leads to, in Mafia, there was literally a wall that I leaned up against, and I saw it had all the broken glass, inside there. And I was like, oh, just small touches like that. I thought that was badass. Like, it all connected. Nobody else probably would have noticed that. But the fact that, like, it just timed out perfectly.
I didn't, but now I want to go. I probably am going to replay this, and I definitely want to keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, I just thought it was cool. I still just love how Arnold and like Franco just left that there, just like whatever. I don't know how would you get it back in? You'd have to like smash the wall to do it. It'd probably be a pain in the ass.
Oh yeah, that whole level. Are you referencing the level when you're breaking the guy out of jail?
I don't know. I can't remember exactly where this was. It just happened to be just it was just a regular wall, just probably in like more of a farmland area.
Oh, I gotcha.
And then it literally had the glass in the top was just part of its like design, and that's the thing. Everybody else probably just look at that like, oh, cool design, not thinking much of it. But yeah, it makes sense if you have a bunch of sharp glass and people try to go jump your wall.
Yeah, I need it, man. See, yeah, I need to replay that, and I want to check that out because that's a great small detail, and there's a ton of them. There's a lot of small little details that I really liked about this game, and some kind of even pre-lead to like set the tone for the next games. Like there's a spot where you get a postcard, I think it is, and it says Empire Bay on it, and that's where you are in I believe 1 and 2. I'm pretty sure 1 for sure, but I thought it was a cool little touch as well. And even just like the small details to like the clothing if you look at the clothing on it, and like they have like fine stitching on the clothing, way more than I've ever seen on a video game. They really detailed it a lot pretty well. Like you can notice it on oh, now I'm drawing a blank on the on your girlfriend's name, but like on
Isabella.
some of her Isabella, yeah, on some of her dresses, like those are so well done on the game.
Yeah, that's the thing is I feel just the world building of this Mafia one is like you're just so sucked in, like no matter what, like, and they just like you feel like, hey, I feel like I'm here, because that's always the coolest things when you get to certain games. I just remember it was like almost like the first times playing like the Assassin's Creed, like the original ones and so on, like one and then the 2 or whatever. Those ones, it's like it literally felt like by the time you're done, you're like, I felt like I've just been living in Italy. You know, that was like that's how I walked out of there. Like I felt like I took this like 30-hour vacation, and that was almost like how this was. It's like you go back in time, and here you are here, and you get to drive a bunch of the cool old cars and just see these old, you know, farmsteads and so on, and just the early days of the Mafia and whatnot.
And it's neat too because if you're driving through, you know, some of the area, it's not very populated, the world. And I get it. Like, you know, I know that's one thing people like about like the new GTA. It's gonna come out and it's super populated. This is set in 1908, if I remember right. Like, it's not gonna be super populated. But just like when you go through seeing the people like working, like the farms, like you see a ton of people just working on the farms, and dude, they just put so much little details into that and knocked it out of the park.
Well, and that's the interesting thing I think about too is the fact that they put a lot of these details for the fact that, like, it is still an open world game. It's just the fact that it runs so linear. I was almost thinking of that when I was playing it. It's like, wow, it's like there's almost like so much work that's here that like I feel a lot of people might not even see, like, because it's like it's not really designed for you. I mean, you kind of have to go out of your way to free roam in this game in a sense. You know, it's like you can, but like it's not the same way that like sometimes other games kind of are, you know, where you're kind of left with, you know, a handful of missions. Like no, it's just one mission after the next, you know. So there's not really that like time period. Once in a blue moon, you can, you know, and drive off, and you can stop by and go to that upgrade shop, which felt like sometimes that upgrade shop was sometimes hard to get to because sometimes some missions wouldn't allow you to go in there. I'd come flying in that guy and I'd crash right into his gate, be like, damn it, why is he closed? Like, I've been saving up this money this whole time. I've been looting everybody, you know, along the way.
One thing, and I liked too, because it kept you on track, but like, it was pretty early on when you were doing, it's the mission where you're doing the horse race. So very early on. I could see that there was a newspaper to pick up, like a little bit off away. So when I went to go walk to get it, it goes, no, you're too far. Go back and the mission's gonna restart. And at first I was like, well, that's kind of annoying, but I grew to actually appreciate it because it just kept me on track and it kept me just playing the game and not looking for collectibles that are essentially going to mean nothing. So I'm not going to try to 100% it.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm kind of glad too because they did have those newspapers and things you could kind of pick up, you know, because that's sometimes kind of the other downfall is you get to some of those games and then like you feel like you have to continuously search every nook and cranny, you know, and you're almost like paying less attention to what the story is as you're like, hold on, I got to see if there's like, you know, some collectible over here or something like that. And the fact that there wasn't much, I mean, the only thing, probably the only thing that I kind of like always did was I looted every single person's body, which sometimes that could be a little bit tedious, especially you're like, hold on a second, I know we just killed 8 people, don't you dare leave yet.
Yeah, some of the later missions when you're surrounded by people, I would do it after I cleaned out everybody, but man, there was some where there was like waves of people and I would start looting somebody, then like 3 or 4 more guys come out. It's like, oh.
Well, I will say, and there's actually a point like when you get a little bit farther in the game, because weirdly enough, there's not tons of stuff to buy. I mean, you could buy to buy, but like the stuff you're going to need, like I think I bought like 2 knives and then my knife was pretty much maxed out to where I wanted it to be, you know? And same with like the guns, like the only gun I bought the pump action shotgun, you know? And then I stuck with that the whole time. I never changed anything else out on it, you know? As I said, you could buy all the guns if you really wanted to, but there
I
wasn't
varied
really
it up a little bit. Like I did buy a gun because I didn't quite get that mechanic yet. But as the game goes by, you can try out every gun. And I did because I got every trophy for using the different guns, getting X amount of kills with them. And I didn't even have to go out of my way and I was going to try, but eventually you just get them because you can just try, oh, this person dropped this gun, this person dropped this gun, and you can keep using every one. But yeah, I bought a gun and I bought a couple knives, but one thing I like about it, man, is that you don't have to buy anything. Like you can go through the game without buying a different knife. They're mostly cosmetic. Now, some of the different knives and the guns are obviously stronger, going to be more to your play style, but you don't ever have to upgrade and buy anything.
Yeah, exactly. You literally could go by, don't have to do that whatsoever. And I do kind of like that, like some of the stuff, like the knives in a sense, it's like, it is kind of like a personal preference of what you kind of like. It's like, it's not like one's really better than the other. It's just like, this one gives you like extra, instant looting for stealth kills, or this one's more durable. I picked the one that's more durable. When I saw that, I'm like, yeah, that's the one I'll take right there. More durability? Sure. Because I was afraid that sharpening thing would become a problem. It never did, ironically. Maybe because I have the durable knife, but I was afraid that at some point you get to it, there'd be like a lockbox, be like, well, you're out of sharpeners, so that's it.
That happened to me on a couple spots when I was trying to get every box, but there's a couple I couldn't get just because I had no sharpeners. And it's funny though, because early on I got the knife that you can throw, and it worked out really well. And I remember thinking like, I'm never going to need to use the other one. Like I prefer this one, but there was a trophy for using the other one for 5 of like the action kills. And dude, that came in handy because I was like, yeah, I'll load it up in case I need it. If not, I'll go for it later. But there's that level where you're in the warehouse and it's on fire all around you, and you're surrounded by enemies. And so that knife came in beyond handy at that point.
Was that the throwing knife?
No, the other one where you can, like, when you're in close-up action. Because the throwing knife was great, but the other one, when you're in close-up action, there was like 6 people surrounding me at one point, and I was able to kill 4 of them really quick because I had that knife equipped. So I like that it, there's obviously going to be ones in hindsight where it's like, you'll do better at this mission with this type of knife. But dude, like you could go by with either one.
Yeah, I totally forgot about the throwing knife mechanic the whole time. Like, I literally, it was at the very end when I saw my stats and it said that I didn't get any throwing knife kills. I was like, oh, I totally forgot there was a throwing knife. And then you brought it up. You're like, yeah, but you have to have, it's a different knife. It's like, that makes sense why I was like, I'm like, how the hell did you, like, I couldn't even remember how that happened, how I was able to throw. I remember throwing the one knife when the tutorial told you about it, and then never threw another knife since then, which kind of a bummer. I missed out on that. I could have got some more knife throws in.
And I'll admit, I think a lot of the reason why my playthrough was a little bit longer too is there was a few story trophies that I wanted to get. I was like, well, if they're here, and they were hard though. Like there was one when you're in the plantation to like sneak through without being detected at all. Some of those are super hard, and there's 2 of them I believe that you have to sneak through a whole area and get to the final without being caught. And those are a lot tougher than I thought they'd be. And so I took a few extra tries to like get those because it was fun to do.
Yeah, no, there is always something to be said about it. And then once you kind of get the path down where you're like, exactly where you need to go. A lot of times for me, like it happens is like, I'll be very stealthy. I'm doing good. And then just one guy sees you and just the next thing you know, like, I didn't mean to have to kill all you people. It just kind of happened this way. Yeah. I wanted to be stealthy. I wanted to let you all get through, but this guy saw me and then it just became a shooting rampage.
Yeah. And the shooting rampages levels they're fun. Like the shooting handles really nicely. I love the cover system. And honestly, that's actually one thing I remember about Mafia 2, because I played the demo of that when I got my PS3. I remember playing the demo, and I really liked the covering systems and the mechanics for shooting, because the GTA that was out at the time, I think 4, didn't quite have it as good as that one. And so when I played that, I was just like, this is way dialed in. But nobody that I knew played Mafia. Everybody played GTA. But when I played Mafia 2 on there, yeah, that was a great game.
Yeah, well, that's right when Gears of War sort of solidified the cover system. It didn't necessarily invent it, but it made it kind of like, oh, here it is. It's really dialed in. It's kind of a standard now. And I noticed like a lot of games probably right at that time period, they're like, well, we got to have a good cover system now, Yeah. And, I could see that. I do kind of remember that with Mafia 2 as well. That it was kind of fun like that, and I always like a cover system. I think it's a good way to go. And this one works great though. As I said, it plays well. I like the way the guns handle, because since they are a little bit old timey and so on like that, and there are those old like Italian ones that like they don't shoot exactly perfectly, but that kind of makes for a more realistic feel and so on. And you watch some of those pistols that don't have any guards on them. Like I always think about that. It's like the trigger's just freely hanging out there, like. Like that seems so unsafe. If you put that in your pocket, it would just go right off.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that level where you were sneaking through the I think it's sneaking through a winery, the plantation. Um
Yeah.
Man, like that initial level is when you find the guy that you're looking for, that level is just brutal too. That when you finally get that guy that you've been chasing after and like you're assaulting him and then he runs. Do you remember the ending of that level though? When
I'm, tr-
after you
I'm
knock him
trying.
out?
Yeah, what do you do with that guy after you knock him out? Is that the one where
So
you make him, you kill him in the car, like make him look like he got in a car crash?
no, so I think Tino might have done
No.
that, but you bring him to Tino. And so you bring him to Tino and the other guys at the you're on like a cliff,
Hmm.
and there's actually a trophy if you don't kill him. Tino says to kill him, but if you miss the shot or just don't kill him, Tino gets mad at you and kills you.
Oh yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. I do remember this now.
that dude, that scene was so like you what another talk about the small details, right? Like I remember like you can see like the whole character's face like changes. The facial mannerisms were phenomenal on this game to a point where I've never seen them on other games. I'm sure they exist, but this one was really crazy because you can watch the guy when he realizes that he's about to die on the cliffside and everybody's just standing around watching him. You literally see his facial expression, just like he turns a lot and he's like all nervous. I was just like, oh, I felt bad that I had to shoot the guy because I was like, oh, like you could just see the fear in that guy's eyes with it, and I was like, oh my gosh, like that game just small stuff like that just had me just eating out of the palm of its hand essentially.
Yeah, I remember when that scene happened because they're like, okay, now you got to kill him. And it was like the second that it went back to gameplay, I just pulled the shotgun up and just blasted them right in the head. Like, I mean, like it was like half a second. Like I felt like, oh, okay, boom.
Yeah.
and,
The other
and
part,
then you see the cutscene. You're like, yo, I shot him in the face, point blank range of a shotgun. I don't think he'd even have a head.
no, yeah. Well, I think it was just assuming you're going to shoot him
Shoot with a
with the gun.
pistol.
But
Yeah.
the other scene where you have to kill you kill the preacher, I think it is, at the church pretty later on in the game. That was one like because it's funny because you and I just talked about that though. I shot the guy with the shotgun, and so I grabbed the sniper rifle out and blasted his head, and I actually got the trophy. That was my 20th kill with the sniper rifle for that. And
Oh,
I thought it was
perfect.
funny, but I was like, oh wow! So I have a trophy, and like the screenshot of that trophy is like me with the sniper over the guy's head.
Shooting the priest. That's
I was
actually
like,
really
that could
cool.
have worked out better.
Just also the fact that like you have to use the most high-powered rifle, like right at point blank range.
Point blank.
Just be like, hold on, I gotta dial in the scope here. You're like, dude, he's like 1 foot away.
Yeah, well, I was inspired by you.
But yeah, I like those kind of moments that they got in there too, just to like kind of see what kind of like player I guess you're gonna be. No, I don't think there's anything that like it's not like you go different directions, in this one, but yeah, just the take that they got there, and even just the story itself. Like I like in the beginning of this one. Like I guess you say with those other Mafia games where you all start off in a very low end job. Like this one's got the lowest end job. You're literally a slave working in like a mine with your buddy who's got this postcard of Empire Bay. He's like, one day, man, we're gonna get out of here. It's gonna be awesome, and you're just walking around, no shoes on, sleeping on the floor. This other mobster guy's just literally got his thumb down on you and whatnot. And of course, there's this gas explosion that goes off, and just that in itself is just having to run through there because this guy doesn't care. He's like, go down there. I don't care if there's a gas explosion. You're going to go down there and keep mining. I can't remember, what were you mining for in there? It was I was going to say
It wasn't
asbestos.
silver.
It was I can't remember at this point what the heck that was that you're mining. I guess I know it's not the most important thing, but I just remember it was something.
Coal, I think.
No, I don't even think it was coal because I don't think they have coal in
I don't
there in
remember
this
what it
thing.
is, but I know they said it, but I can't recall.
Yeah, I know well, they mentioned it multiple times, but whatever. You're down there mining and whatnot, and this is kind of the things you lose your buddy, and then like you literally have to escape out of there. You're like, fuck this, I'm not doing this anymore. And as you're
Yeah.
running off, of course, that guy tries to track you down, and you fight off his guys, and in that process, the main mafia guy that you're gonna be working for is the one who like finds you on his property. He's like, no, he's now in my custody, and then you end up working for him, and that's how that kind of starts. But just that whole intro scene of being in that mine was pretty cool.
That was a really fun scene. Everything about watching that one play out when you were watching it and the guy like running through the mine. I remember, I noticed the barefoot too, and I remember feeling bad. Like, man, they got these guys working in these mines with bare feet. Like, I remember noticing that, but like escaping that as it was exploding around, it was wildly fun. But yeah, when you get into the knife fight with the other guy and then you run away and escape, it was so well done. And I liked that that became and he was a recurring character as the game went by. But that initial introduction to the Dawn was pretty badass. Just the way that all came about, like, because you could just see talk about the facial mannerisms again. You notice like the fear when those guys realized like, oh shit, I'm on this guy's turf. Like, we're fucked. Like, we need to get out of here. And you realize when they're explaining that, and he tells them like, I'll give you guys this one, but you need to leave now.
Yeah.
Like, watching that done. Hold on one second, my nephew.
Sure thing.
Porter, I'm on the phone. Sorry, please edit that out.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, you can edit that out, right?
I can. I'll write it down real quick.
Oh,
I got paper.
hold on. I can't hear you now.
You can't hear me? Did you tap the mic?
There it is. I hear you.
Okay, you back in action?
Yep.
Okay, let me just write that down real quick.
Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. That's why I got this paper right here for that reason. Okay. But yeah, no, just like being there in the mine and just all the aspects of it and so on, getting out there, finding the Dawn, and just learning that, like, yeah, this is how this area works. So these people all own their certain territories and you don't mess with it and whatnot like that. And the and the weird way too is like when you think about, like, in a sense what the mobster is, really at the end of the day, they're like an insurance company / security team is really what they are. Like, that's what you're paying for. Like, when you're paying into it, you're paying to make sure that, like, you don't get robbed, you don't get, your stuff stolen, you don't get anything destroyed. In a weird way, it's like this weird, like, union insurance, like, thing. And hopefully it pays out, I guess.
Well, even I think it was like the third or fourth mission. It was early on, but I really liked how you literally start off as just like you're not even working for them. You're just like, dude, you're gonna do laundry. You're gonna pick up. You're not doing laundry, but you know what I'm saying. Like, you're literally just hauling stuff around. Like, you're just a farmhand essentially. And then because you helped them out with one thing, or with the horses, they realized that, well, like, okay, let's introduce you to a few things. But I loved the mission when you were when it's early on, when it's tedious, but when you're just going from place to place, just basically picking up insurance money. And one of the guys is like, oh, we got robbed, but we're paying for nothing. I don't want to pay. And then you go and you hunt the guy down, and everybody's like, oh, like, one of the guys, I forget who, says that that's too late. They've already robbed. And then your partner, who's, man, I'm drawing a blank on the names today. I'm all bad.
Cesare?
Yeah, I think it was Cesare. He says, like, we need to kill them, and because everybody will hear about this, and they'll know we did this. And, like, seeing your character's progression to realizing what's going on as the game goes by was really great as well. And that continued even, later on when he got more involved. You would see Enzo he knew what he was doing wasn't good, but he needed to do it because he was getting protection. He was safe because he was doing these things. And he knew that was the only thing that was holding him there was safety.
Yeah, it's a weird, that's what it is. It ends up just being some kind of safety initiative and so on like that, and just the things you got to do to, like, kind of, in a sense, protect this area and protect yourself and so on. And I think it's just a cool dynamic and everything like that. One thing I do want to mention, too, is one play style that I think that's actually really cool in this game that, like, really makes it stand out a lot over other things is the knife fights that they have. We mentioned the knives before, but, like, those knife battles, they remind me of, like, swashbuckling, like, pirate sword fights in a weird way because of the way that, like, okay, you got your slashes, you got the stab, you got a parry and a block type button. So, like, you got this kind of very diverse or a dodge. I guess you don't block. You dodge and then you parry. And those were probably some of my favorite parts of the game. Whenever that happened, like, yeah, it just gave me, like, that Sid Meier's Pirates feel or something like that. Like, you were just going to literally have these cool battles. And I thought that was just awesome.
And it's funny because we had talked about this, but when we first mentioned it, I played one, or I think I played two. It was the first one after the the very first one. But I remember realizing like, oh man, I hope they don't have a lot of this throughout the game because I wasn't good at it. Once I figured out how to do it, I loved it. I thought it was great, and I loved that they used it as a storytelling mechanism as well. That like during the fight, most of the fights were broken down a few times too, with some really cool cinematics as well.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of times, like, it would lead up as like that was almost like the final, like that was like a man's way of like, okay, do you pull out your? Everybody's got these giant pocket knives, which I was thinking about them. Like, was that just a really like a thing back then? Was just everybody had these giant flip out pocket knife things? Like that was the cool hip thing to have at that point. I mean, like these things are like big. They're not like they're like 3 times more than like your Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, and that was it. Like watching that, even so, it's funny because I guess I didn't think it was gonna happen. Like early on, like it was kind of spoiled to me because I saw the trophy, but I remember in hindsight they make little hints about the Don and his that he's kind of a badass, and they make little hints about it a lot. Like he's not just a rich guy who strikes fear. Like they mentioned like, hey, he was a great racer, he was a great fighter, nobody ever beat him in a knife fight, nobody ever beat him in boxing. And then when you finally see him, you're holding somebody hostage, and you finally see him just like pummeling the guy. That was when you really alluded in, like, oh yeah, like he is. And he's telling the guy, he's like, get up, and like he was just like he was such an evil jerk, but like he had it, like he just had it, and you knew it. And then so when it finally comes time to fight him, like you knew, like from the storytelling point of view, that this guy's the real deal. He means business, and you're actually in for a real fight.
Yeah, no, like his toughness was really like shown kind of throughout there, and the fact that you didn't mess with this guy whatsoever, and just the whole continual build up, and the fact that like you are going to end in these knife battles and so on, And plus, I will say like the game has one of the coolest like ending set pieces going on.
Yeah.
It's got this volcano erupting, just like so. It's like as the story's like coming to like an end, like literally this volcano starts erupting and it's coming down. And I even noticed the volcano early. I was like halfway through the game, I was like, "Huh, there's smoke coming out of that volcano over there. I wonder what that's supposed to mean." And it brought no attention to it. It just kind of you're just driving through and you just kind of notice those things, and then like lo and behold, it starts erupting, and it's like it makes for a great like total finale to like the whole story of everything like that. Like everything's falling apart, even Sicily itself. There's a volcano erupting and everything like that. I kind of wonder if that actually happened in like 1906 out of curiosity, but because it's a real volcano. I know a lot of the towns and stuff are all kind of fictional, but like that volcano that was Etna or something like that, it is a real one.
Okay, yeah, I wanted to look that up, but yeah, it's funny because we talked about that, but when I noticed that, I noticed that it was there. Like you see it off in the distance, but they don't ever talk about it. And so when it actually like erupted, it was one of those like, oh yeah, like that's also here. And I thought it was a great piece too, the fact that the game ends essentially with you like going back to where it all began, because you get caught messing around with the boss's daughter and trying to run away from him, and they bring you back to the mines to just be like, hey, this is where you're from. Like they're basically calling you trash the whole time. And that whole last mission was just absolutely phenomenal. That was the longest mission of the game, and well so. Like it was well done. But yeah, so when you're fighting everybody and when it erupts, it was brilliantly done.
Well, the interesting thing too, because like even just going back a little bit, is there's a part like when you finally defeat like the mobster guys that all own the mine and whatnot, and the Don's like, hey, Enzo, here you go, we got what you always wanted, you are now the owner of this mine. Yeah. It's like you just tell me like, dude, that is the last thing I want to be in charge of. He's like, what, you know what to do there, you know how to run this. He's like, no, don't you dare send me back to that. Like that just feels like that's like you think that's what he would want. Like you escaped out of this hellhole.
And I don't think that's actually, I don't think the Don actually thought he wanted that. So, because I remember when that happened too, like when I watched that, it was almost the Don's like power play on him. Like just, hey, remember this is where you came from. I'm in charge of you. I own you. You're going to go take care of this because I don't want to. So like when I watched that, like, the way it was all done, because even Enzo was like, like, I don't want nothing to do with this. And everybody's like, oh, congratulations. But like a lot of the times the people, like the NPCs that were congratulating you when you walk past, it's all with like a snarky tune. Like, especially when, I forget, I think it's Cesare mentions it. And it's all like kind of just like backhanded. Like, oh, like at least she'll be in charge now, ha. But it's, that was such a dick move.
Interesting, because the way I viewed it is I saw it a little bit differently. I was because I thought he was giving it to him like it was a gift, like, hey, this is going to make a lot of money. It's going to be great. This is how you'll start your section of like your business and whatnot. Like it was almost like he was giving him this great gift, but it was kind of like, dude, wait a second, that's like the last kind of gift that like I want. But it's an interesting way to look at it too. Is the fact that like, oh, he's kind of like giving him like, yeah, it's kind of like a know your role type thing.
And that's the way I took it. That was just my perception. I'm not saying that is what the storytellers were doing, but yeah, when I watched that or when I played that through, I remember thinking like, man, like he's kind of just putting the guy in his place. That's the way I took it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, yeah, I think that's an interesting way to look at it too, as I said, because I didn't even notice it like that. But yeah, you kind of have that there. But at this point, nobody knows that you've been dating Isabella for like 4 years or something like that. Probably everybody thinks that you're gay. Like that was like the main thing I thought is like they take you like the whorehouse. They're like, dude, Enzo just kind of left. Like he was like very disappointed about being here. Like that's kind of weird. The fact that like they've probably been together for like 4 years now. These guys are like, he never seems to look at any of the girls. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff. Like it's all small stuff, and you may have noticed it, but there's one mission where Cesare makes comments about it, like, "Oh, like did Dawn tell you to bring her?" And he's go, "Oh yeah, I was instructed to take her," and you weren't, but you're questioned about it a couple of times. And there's one scene when you guys are talking, and it's off in the distance. You see Tino's just walking by, but he sees you, and he just like stops and like watches them as they walk away. And so I think that as the game goes on,
Tino's the older guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because Tino's the one who's kind of on to you the whole time. Like he almost is 3 steps ahead of everybody else, and of course, you see it in the long run.
I really liked Tino as a character in the sense that you knew he was so unlikable. Like I actually found it fitting because one thing I actually really liked, and I'll fast forward to the end a bit, but I really liked that the Dawn wasn't the final boss that you beat in the game. It was Tino. Mm-hmm. Because, like, yeah, I mean, you knew the story with the boss was kind of predictable in a sense, because it's a classic tale. But
yeah, you knew you were going to fight him at some point.
Yeah, but I didn't predict it was going to end the way it did, and I don't think anybody did. So when Tino was the very last person that was killed, I thought that was just masterful storytelling because he was just such a jerk, like constantly. He was the one who was like who basically the Don's right hand man, but he was the one who was always just like making you do the stuff that you didn't want to do. Like, yeah, you're gonna go in there alone. We're gonna wait for you in the car. Like,
yeah.
Like, yeah, there's 3 guys waiting in the car. He sends Enzo in alone. He was the one who made you shoot the guy that you didn't want to. He made you kill the preacher. Mm-hmm. Like. Tino needed to die. And so the fact that he was the final guy and with the set piece of everything burning up around you, I thought was so cool.
Well, and then there's one elephant in the room we got to mention that I know that got to both of us. And when you think about it, and this is, I guess, spoilers ahead if you weren't already spoiled, as is. But when you get to the very end and you think, because the whole time I was playing the game, like in my mind, I was wondering, I was like, oh, because of the Empire City thing, and even though I haven't played Mafia 1, I was like, I wonder if Enzo and Isabella are like the Dawns or something high up in that first game. That was what I was almost kind of thinking that was where that was leading to. I was like, well, this is a prequel. Maybe that's what it's going to be, is like you're going to see how the Dawn of the first game kind of came to be, and this is his storyline. But no, not necessarily, because Cesare, your kind of best buddy, who's a little bit kind of angry that he's kind of being a little bit sidelined, but for the most part, you thought he was a good enough friend, even though he's still loyal to his the uncle, which is his Don. He ends up stabbing you and killing you, and so on like that. Which it's the weirdest. It's almost like I felt like he just did it out of an emotional spike, not necessarily thinking it through. Because you just killed the Don in a duel to the death, just that way, and then he takes you out. And it's one of
And
those ones.
really quick,
Yeah.
just to touch on that too. Right before that, you let him live. You could have killed him.
Yeah, because you duel him first before the dawn, and then you go to duel the dawn, and you let him live because you're like you in a sense do that thing where you're like, hey, you're still my friend. I don't care what you think, and so on like that. And so you think that like, okay, maybe you're going to be kind of cool. But this is the thing I think about is okay. So you killed the dawn, then Cesare goes to kill you, which is weird because it's like he literally now has inherited everything of the dawn. So he now is the main guy in charge. Granted, the volcano has just burnt everything down, so I don't know. He must not have nothing left. But at this point, you don't know that yet. But so it's like weird. It's like he has everything here. It's almost like things have even worked out even better for him realistically as a player moving up. It's a strange one. As I said, I feel like it's like an emotional spike that was not thought of. It was just in the moment. If he would have been given like 24 hours, that probably would have not have happened.
Yeah, because a lot of it was. Look, I've clearly never been in that environment, but I think that it was just such in the heat of that moment. If I were guessing, like, it's just storytelling, man. Like that storytelling was so perfect. I loved it, man. That whole last mission was phenomenal. But yeah, when you fight Tino, which I thought his knife fight was harder than the Don's, or not Tino. When you fight Cesare,
Yeah.
I thought his knife fight was harder for sure, but like, and it's epic, and the storytelling is great with it. And you, like you mentioned, hey, you're telling him, hey, I could have killed you, but you're my friend. Like, I'm not going to kill you. And then, so when you finally see him, right after you fight the Dawn, and you're just clawing to try to escape or to move, and he pulls you up to safety. It all looks good. Your friend's back, and he stabs you.
Yeah.
I was genuinely in awe, like, and I was playing it pretty late at night because I was trying to finish it through. I was like, I'm not working. I'm gonna stay up late and finish it. It's probably 1 or 2 in the morning, and I just remember when that happened, I was just like, there ain't no way, there's no way, and I kept just thinking like, this can't end with Enzo just dying, and more happens, which we'll talk about, but like, I was so shocked. Like, genuinely shocked. I think this is probably one of the best video game endings I've ever played.
Yeah, because it was once like it really threw me for a curve because as I said, I was thinking that these, him and Isabella, who are now together, they got the boat tickets and everything like that. I knew there was going to be a struggle to get there and so on like that. And she's pregnant now and all this kind of stuff. So it's like they kind of have to. Even some of the other ladies of like the house even help out and so on, to make sure this all kind of goes through. But it was kind of weird. It's like, oh, okay. So, because all I thought was like, okay, now what does that mean for who these characters are? Granted, you after Enzo dies, you do play as Isabella, and that's where you go through the house and have to sneak on out. It's burning down from all the embers coming down from the volcano, and you have to escape Tino and everything like that, and you do eventually kill him and get out of there, and she does get on a boat and goes there, which still makes me wonder who she's supposed to be if she is somebody in Mafia 1.
I need to look that up because I don't remember her. It's been a long time since I played those, but I really want to watch a video to see if there's any correlation with the characters. I had read that I think Cesare is in like one of the DLCs to Mafia, so I'm curious to see what Isabel does. But man, like, when you finally you kill Tino, you escape, and everything's looking good. When you see that shadowy figure walking towards you and throughout all the embers and the smoke, I thought for sure, like somehow, some way, you're gonna see just battered and basically left for dead Enzo, like coming back. He got the horse, he's on his way. That's what I thought for sure was gonna happen, and I was like, oh cool, Enzo is here. And then when it was Cesare, I was just like, dude, what the fuck? Like, Enzo's really dead.
Yeah.
And when he still hands her the tickets and tells her to go, I was like, wow. Like, I just did not expect anything of that ending.
I agree.
Also, fuck Cesare. Like, he did not have to kill.
There was no reason he needed to do that. That was the thing. Is I feel like if he would have slept on it, that would have been all like water under the bridge the next day.
Because I did replay that the last couple missions of the game, not the whole game, but even towards the end, you can hear Cesare's doubting a lot. Your other partner, the name I can't remember,
Yeah, guy. I'm drawing a blank on that dude, but I like that guy actually a lot.
I do too.
And he dies a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I give them props for this, man, because it was kind of a cool character. Because if you listen, you hear him being more like, hey, this is what we got to do, man. This is what the Don wants, and he's all about it. Like almost if he's getting like hungry for more power, or just like liking it more, I guess. Whereas like you hear Cesare be like, oh, I'm not sure, and like I forget what he says exactly, but he almost starts to show a little bit of remorse for what they're doing, and so for him to like basically turn his back on you after he realized the Don was just going to leave your friend for dead. Your friend still lets you live when he could have killed you, and he killed you. I was just like, dude, you are a fucking scumbag.
Yeah, just you just did this for your own like weird like moral ways, And then ironically, he's like he has nothing at the very end because that whole place burns down and so on like that, It literally Isabella leaves and like that entire family is granted it's only a problem because of the volcano.
Yeah.
if they would have got that volcano insurance, maybe that would have been. But
I'm just glad he didn't kill Isabella because I thought for a second, like when he showed him like reaching in his pocket, he grabbed the tickets. I was like, okay, like this has been a phenomenal game, but if he just pulls out his gun and shoots Isabella now, this game sucks. Like the ending would just be so
dark.
Like, it'd be very unexpected, but that would have been a bit too much, I thought.
Yeah.
I loved it, man. I loved that ending. I thought that it was just masterful storytelling. I was not expecting it for sure. Because a lot of the games, man, that are story-driven games like this is towards the end, like you start to kind of piece things together and you're like, oh, this is, and you can kind of gauge where it's going to go. I did not expect anything like that.
No, I didn't either. As I said, like I literally thought this whole time that these were going to be pivotal characters or something, in number one. And once I saw that, I was like, oh, well, I guess that goes there. Because that's almost like why I thought that, like, it was almost like when there's a sequel, it's like, well, of course the guy can't die. There's a sequel. You know what I mean? Like, and then it was like, oh, I guess no, I guess that's not going to be the dawn of Mafia 1 or something like that.
Well, because Cesare even says it like 2 or 3 times throughout the game earlier on. Like one of the missions, he's driving you around and he goes, Enzo, one of these days it's just going to be me and you. And he says it again a couple more times. So like you're really thinking like this guy's your buddy.
Well, and I think that's sort of what actually made him more angry than anything else was the fact that Enzo was leaving without telling him. I think that's why he was so pissed. It's not necessarily that he killed his, uncle. I think he could almost slightly that would bother him, but probably not as much. I think it's the fact that he did these like almost like that was like his partner in a sense, and the fact that he just was literally jumping ship, to get out of there and go to the new world. And he's just going to leave him here just, for him to have to take care of all this now by himself, like I think that was how he looked at it, and that probably spiked his emotion rage, Dude,
that's a really good point because that's something I did not even take into consideration.
Which realistically, all three of them could have just went to,
yeah,
New York and called it a day, why not?
I really do want to watch. I know there's got to be some fan-made videos on YouTube. I haven't looked it up, but there's got to be some stuff on there that's going to show like what happened to these characters, at least in a fan theory mode. But for me, I want to see if Cesare or Isabella were in the other games. So I just don't recall them, and that's not to say they weren't there, but it's just been a long time since I played them.
Yeah, well, that's why I just kind of want to just sit down and go through Mafia 1, because I think I asked you this before, is like, does Mafia 1 and 2 run at about that similar time length of, let's just say, 10 to 15 hours?
Yeah, they're shorter than that. I think, I want to say Mafia 1, I powered through that, and I think I finished it in about 10 hours. Mafia 2 was slightly longer, if I remember right. Mafia 3... I definitely spent more time on because there's a lot more that you can do and a lot of open world and stuff. But yeah, the other 2 games are very, very comparable. I want to say realistically, you could probably beat Mafia 1 in like 6 hours.
Okay, so I mean that's actually like the length of Grand Theft Auto 3. Like if you don't get distracted with anything and you just do the missions. Like literally, I remember the last time I went to play Grand Theft Auto 3, I think it was when that Definitive Collection came out. Because always in my mind, like I would have been like, if you would have asked me beforehand, I'd been like, yeah, it's like a 30-hour game, 25, 30 hours. That's what Grand Theft Auto 3 is.
Yeah.
And then I went through and played it. I was like, I beat it in 6.5 hours. I was like, oh. Okay. I mean, granted, of course, I know where things are and stuff like that, but for the most part, it's just still kind of blew my mind. It's like, oh, it actually, if you just go mission to mission and you don't waste your time, running around and doing all that stuff, it's really not that long a game. And then I think Vice City was only like 10.5 hours or something like that, so.
One thing I give this game props for too that I really liked is because it wasn't distracting, but it would have been really hard to know where you're supposed to go had it not been for the little markers that pop up on the road. But I love the way that they had them just pop up as the little road sign with the tiny little arrow. That's it.
Yeah, that's all it was. I know, because at first I was like, because I would make a handful of wrong turns here and there and be like, oh, wait a second, let me spin myself around here and so on. Because it's weird, because it's like, it gives you the checkpoint destination where it says, okay, it's 350 meters away or whatever, but it doesn't have any like indication of that except for those little road signs. But I didn't catch those till like halfway into the game that like those were there.
Well, I like it because it's not distracting, because that's one thing I'm starting to appreciate more is like a little bit more, I guess, simplicity. But dude, I 100% need to know where to go. Like when I play GTA, like I'm not going to go in there blindly. I need the little pathway showing me exactly how to get there. And on GTA, I'll probably still want that because there's a lot more going on. But I just loved it. It was simple. It was just like, hey, like here's a road sign. You're going to turn right up here. Easy.
Yeah. Yeah, just enough to keep you going. No, I thought that was kind of a neat little touch that they had there without being like too complicated. In worst case, you pull up the map if you got really lost.
How did you do on the car race?
I think I had to retry that one. Well, no, take it back. That wasn't the car race. I think the car race I did pretty darn good on. I know I got first on it for sure.
Well, you have to.
Yeah, so you have to get first. I was trying to think. Yeah, no, I think I had to restart that one like once or twice but like the upside is it has a halfway checkpoint, which is kind of nice.
Thank God. And I will tell you, man, as you get ready for these the next two, there is one for sure in one, and it's like legendarily hard. It's ridiculous if you leave it on classic difficulty to get that car race done. 2, I think, does have one. 3 has a handful of different car things, but I like that they added in a car race just because I think that at that point it's so like synonymous with the Mafia games that there was a very hard car race. So I liked that there was still a car race in the game, and it was still difficult.
Yeah, it was difficult, but like not too terribly difficult. Like like just the right amount, Which I also because I just played this game on normal myself too, and that's how I kind of felt. It was just the right amount, It never felt like you were just getting brutalized ever at any point, let alone it wasn't so that you just steamrolled through it, like, because that's the only downfall. There's nothing worse than when you put the game a little bit lower than you think, or you're like, I want to be on the safe side, then you kind of start playing it, you get about quarter into it, you're like, well, I'm not seeing challenge whatsoever. It's just like I could just probably walk the way through and no one's going to do anything.
Yeah, and I will tell you, man, is when you do get ready to play Mafia 1, I wouldn't do classic difficulty. Just do like easy or normal, whatever. But like,
I wouldn't do the classic one. Yeah,
genuinely, that car level, like, you can find people talking about it on YouTube. It's really hard. I had to dumb it down. I had to change my difficulty. It's really hard, and there's no checkpoints.
Yeah, well,
so you're starting the whole thing over.
I will say a lot of times car races and such, like in open world games, are just a little too frustrating. Because even in Grand Theft Auto, like I almost never do those little like races that they have, like those side mission ones that they have. Because all it takes is you just get clipped by one thing, and it's like that's it. And especially in the old Grand Theft Auto, it wasn't like, at least in the definitive edition, I think you just restart right at least there. But like you had to run all the way back and go call that telephone or whatever it was that it was on. Yeah, But Yeah, I'm generally not like it sounds weird. I like racing games, but I don't really like racing something that's an open world. It's like there's too many like factors in there to make it super difficult. It's also that thing too where it's like, when it's like, okay, the racing part should, I feel like in a lot of times these kind of games where it's like the game's not like a car game first and foremost. They should just be on like the fun side. A little bit of difficulty, but you're not playing Gran Turismo here. You're just, it's more like a bonus mode.
And one thing I was actually, on that topic that I liked about this game too was because it's, that old school racing, so you had a passenger navigating you through. I really liked that they had him acknowledge, like, hey, I paid girls to like post up to not mark the shortcuts that we made. So it's just because most racing games have a shortcut at some point. Mafia 1 doesn't, but I love they actually explained it that, hey, there is going to be shortcuts. Look for this. And they explained why there is.
Yeah, they gave it
there happens to be a hole in the wall.
Yeah, no, like they're very well designed and so on like that. I thought that was kind of cool too. Even though I felt like I only found a couple of those shortcuts, but
I found 2, and I think there was supposed to be 4 or 5.
Yeah, I definitely probably only found 2 as well if I had to guess. But but yeah, no, that's the thing about this one. The driving of this game is just, it's like the perfect amount of fun without being like, I never felt like it was too like frustrating where it's just like, the cars kept dying. I remember there was one time I had like 4 people in the car and I literally rolled the vehicle over and the conversation kept going.
Yeah.
It's just like nobody cared. I'm like, the first thing I thought too is like, if this is Grand Theft Auto, the car would have caught on fire here, it would have blown up, that would have been the end of the mission. Instead, this one just said like press triangle and it flipped the vehicle back over and we kept driving on. I'm like, I like that. That's much better.
Yeah, I liked it too. There was I hit something when I was driving once, going pretty fast, and like somebody made a comment about my driving. And then the conversation picked back up, which I appreciated. One thing that I did notice I just had to learn like to stop a ways away, was like sometimes the conversations in the car, if you reach your destination first, they would just stop. And I was like, hey, you're actually missing out on the story by doing that. So
yeah, I did notice that too. Like, you don't want to race to your destination in a sense.
Yeah.
Though for the most part they were pretty well timed out, because I mostly noticed like mostly the conversation would almost end like maybe 100 meters before you got there, so it gave you a little bit of breathing room. But like, yeah, if you were just like booking it, you might have to like pause for a second. The other thing I thought was kind of nice is there's some missions where there's no talking and it's just like, oh, you just got to drive there, and it's like if you didn't want to, you just press like triangle and you could skip it. I thought that was really cool. I'm like, that's what Red Dead Redemption 2 needed.
Yeah. I never used it. I saw it there. I didn't use it because I noticed it. I was like, I actually enjoyed the drives and just admiring the countryside they did with the game.
Yeah, that, and it was kind of fun just to drive, because you're driving cars that like you normally never get to drive in a video game. So just driving those cool old, Italian cars.
Dude, I'm actually excited for you to do your playthrough of the other ones, because I think you're really going to like them. And I think if you liked the cars on those games, I think you're really going to like some of the cars you get to see on 1 and 2.
Yeah, no, I've always been down for wanting to play those ones, and it's just by going through the old country, it made it for like, oh no, I really need to sit down at some point soon and at least knock out, at least even if I slowly knock them out, one here, one there, and the nice thing is just knowing that they're not that. Because I think that's the other thing too, is when you know that like certain games are like 30 plus hours long, that's like that intimidation thing. Like, God, 30 plus hours, I could get like 5 other video games complete in that time. You know what I mean? Like that's how I got. Like you think of the ergonomics of it all and so on like that, but like it was literally, once again, I just bring this up. It's like when I beat the game and I was like, that was it, like 11 hours, or like at first I thought it was only about 10 hours. I think my PlayStation took a moment to catch back up, and I was like, that was all it was. I'm like. And then I had to ask him, like, if the other ones are like that, that's not bad at all. That's like the kind you can just like knock one of those out like a week or so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm trying to beat. I want to try to beat at least like 3 smaller games before Ghost of Yotei comes out, because I know that I'm gonna just probably give that all my time when that comes out.
Well, that's a perfect example of an open world game that, like, yes, that's one I will indulge in. Because even the last one, like when the last Ghost of Tsushima came out, that was like one of the first times I'm like, I hadn't played an open world game for a long time, and I was like, that's the open world game I want to play. And I love the living daylights out of that. Yeah, I know you went the distance on that thing.
I couldn't put it down.
Yeah, it's one of those ones. It was so good, and I can't wait for this new one. So yeah, that's gonna definitely it'll be a nice, like, hopefully I can beat that before Pokemon comes out. That's the goal, because Pokemon comes out at the end of the month. That's the beginning of the month. Pokemon's the end of the month. It's gonna be a good month.
Yeah, the two games that I'm gonna really try to beat is Indica and then Little Hope are next up on my playlist. I just bought Space Marine 2 and I love the first one, so I'm excited to see how this one plays. I heard it's great.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things.
Maybe I should probably play that one next because it's a big game and it cost me $35, but we'll see.
Yeah, exactly. I know I got a couple horror games I'm going through for the podcast. We're gonna do Chronos, and then of course Silent Hill F will come out,
Nice.
which will be fun. But yeah, at some point I will need to throw on the Mafia. I got them all downloaded. They're all ready. Mafia 1, 2, and 3 is all sitting on my PlayStation. So
You'll like them a lot.
yeah, I know I will, because it's like. Now I'll say this, just out of curiosity. Now it doesn't really matter, but what would you say, or how would you say the Old Country kind of ranks amongst all four of the Mafia games, since you
It's
had
the
played them
best.
all? You think it's
the best.
definitely the best one of
Yeah.
them all?
Easy.
Yeah. I mean, it just feels so dialed in. Like everything
Yeah.
about it just feels like it came together right. Like really, the only things that I could like probably complain about is like very, very nitpicky stuff. Like, and it doesn't really matter, but like it's kind of the small stuff. Like in a sense, the money's not, it's there, but like it doesn't, you don't really, like I felt like all that time I spent looting, I almost didn't really need to. I mean, you get some upgrades, you get the charm, so you get this like literally like a Catholic kind of necklace thing, and each one's got like, take a little bit less damage, make stealth a little bit better, all this kind of stuff. Once again, helps out a little bit, but nothing ridiculous. You go to that old lady and you buy stuff from her warehouse down there. You can buy some other cars, though ironically the game gives you like the car that has the highest stats for free. I don't know if that was like I didn't pre-order the game, but like I don't know if that was just like from the game itself, but like I thought that was kind of weird. There's that one car that literally it's like a prototype kind of car, and it's got like full stats. So it's kind of weird that like why would you? That feels like something you would almost unlock because you got all the other cars.
I didn't use it in the game. I used it a little bit when I was doing like the free roam stuff. I don't know, with stuff like that and Assassin's Creed and whatnot, like I'm a sucker for like the aesthetic of realism. And so I was like, I don't want to be just flying around at Old Italy in this like prototype of a race car. So I just stuck to like drive around the carriages.
Yeah, it was kind of fun driving though, because that thing would just barrel through stuff,
Oh, yeah.
And I felt like it wasn't like far-fetched, like they gave you some sci-fi looking vehicle in Old Italy. At least it was something. It felt like it fit in there. It just had a super high stats, but yeah, you can buy the cars, you can buy the guns, you can buy them. But at the same time, once again, as we said, you don't really need to buy too much. So it's sort of like that's there. I guess that could be there a little bit more, but it's not bad. There's one other small thing I thought was a little bit strange. Is there's a part where you can go to like your wardrobe and you can buy different outfits, but then the game kind of does something where it's like, no, you don't want to put that one on. What do you mean? Like, well, that's gonna mess with the story. So, well, then why are you showing me this? Or like, there's like a hat and a mustache. You're like, no, you don't put the hat or mustache on. You're like, you might as well just not even have that. I thought that was such a weird thing. It's like.
Yeah, that's actually literally my only nitpick with the game is that you can buy different wardrobes, but for the story purposes, it won't actually let you wear it. And I was like, I want my character to have a mustache. But it's like, wait, so I can buy a coat, but I can't actually wear it? Because I bought a suit in the game, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, can't actually wear it, though. But
yeah, well, you could wear it, but then like it'd be like next time that like it went to like a new major mission, you were in like the next outfit.
Yeah, that's one thing I was a bit surprised by, but I figure if that's my biggest nitpick, it is what it is.
Well, it's so small. It's such a small nitpick that like, but it's just enough that's like I almost feel like you might as well not even have that in there if you can't really do it. I thought it was gonna be kind of like, because I'll say that was kind of the cool thing about Red Dead Redemption 2 is that like you can make him look whatever way you want. He can look like a wild hillbilly. You can make him look all dapper. You could give him like a big old like Sam Elliott mustache.
Yeah, like on 2, it might have been 1. I couldn't wait to like have like a long trench coat, just the classic mobster. When you play 3, you definitely I don't think you get to dress like that. 3 is a bit different. I like 3. Like there's the story is phenomenal. We've talked about there's things that get a little bit monotonous with 3, but it's still a great game with still a great story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I still want to play that one as well too. I want to go through them all. I think that like there's not a single one that doesn't sound amazing.
The cool part about 3 is there's at least one scene for sure where if you're out exploring stuff in the open world in the forest, you can stumble across a KKK meeting and then you can just roast them all.
Oh, that's badass. Yeah, because I know that what's that? 68 is when that one takes place.
I think So you can just gun them all down, and then there's a few businesses that I remember going into on that game that it said no, like the sign outside said no colors allowed, and if you walk in because the protagonist is African American. And you go inside, and they'll like be like, "Hey, you don't belong here." And sometimes they'll fight you. Sometimes they'll start shooting at you. The cops will come.
Jeez, yeah. Well, I think it's cool. It gives you like literally like that's how it was, like so at least you could know what that feels like,
And it definitely reminds you that like early on, like, hey, we wanted to present a historically accurate game. We don't mean to offend her, but this is historically accurate.
Yeah, that's how it should be. It's like this is how you're gonna know is because you can see the history. You could be part of the history in a sense, with the game. I can't wait.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. These games all do a great job with making it pretty close to historically accurate.
Mm-hmm. That's what I like about it so much. Is I just love like just the feel of it and just like you literally put you in this time period. Similar to Red Dead or something like that, or one that was a modern one. But did you ever play? This was kind of the other Grand Theft Auto game of the PS2 era. But did you ever play the games called The Getaway?
No.
So these were made by Sony, and they were British, like Grand Theft Auto. It's kind of like Grand Theft Auto London, but like I thought they were super good, and they were one of the first games to say "fuck." Now, I remember that being a big deal because like they said that in the cutscene, so they felt like real like Sopranos-y and so on. But they were all British gangsters, so it felt like you were in almost like a Guy Ritchie movie. Kind of minus the comedy. And I'm always waiting for because they're made by Sony, there was 2 of them. I had the first one. I never played the second one. I think there's a PSP one. And I'm not too sure if it was one of those ones where it was completely different or if it was a port or some kind. But it's one of those games because they're made by Sony, I keep waiting for them just to appear on the PlayStation 5's like streaming or not streaming thing, but like classic collection. And they never nobody ever brings or like even a remastered version or something like that. I know Sony's not the greatest about pulling old stuff out. Like they almost kind of forget about stuff once it's like, a console generation or 2 behind. But that was a really cool series that I kind of still would like to go back to.
I would check that out for sure. Did you ever play Sleeping Dogs?
I started that one up. And I played a bit of it because I know you always talk so highly about that, and it was really fun. This was the only downfall. It came right after I had that Grand Theft Auto marathon where I played the Definitive Collection. So I played 3, Vice City, San Andreas, and 5 back to back to back to back. So by the time I got to Sleeping Dogs, I was a little bit burnt out, I guess, on that. And I was like, I'll come back to this. But it was really cool for like the couple hours I did start with it.
Yeah, I think you would. There's stuff on there that I won't ruin spoilers because I think you'll actually really appreciate it. But especially like some of the DLC that came with that game, like is right up your alley.
Yeah, well, I just love the fact that like, it's a Hong Kong movie that like it's got the mixed match between Grand Theft Auto kind of action and then martial arts, kung fu. I was like already sold because there's definitely not enough of like Chinese style games like that. There's a couple Jet Li games and that was about it. A couple Bruce Lee games too, but. Yeah, no, that one was a badass one in like the other Grand Theft Auto type games.
Really quick, the other game that is kind of in the vein, I was realizing it, is L.A. Noire. I like that game a ton. That game was very ahead of its time, especially for like the graphics and for like the facial mannerisms and the lie detection. But I really liked that game. But what's funny enough is I thought the driving actually handled not so good, which I remember thinking is weird since it came from Rockstar. But the story was great. I loved it was linear and just like, hey, here's the next mission, next mission, next mission. But the driving was kind of clunky.
I see. I always kind of wondered if that was supposed to be just to give you 1940s kind of car physics. Like they're
yeah.
Because I think that's the thing about that game is that game was done is almost like an experiment, like so they could test out all sorts of new features and graphic stuff, and and I think that was the thing. It wasn't Grand Theft Auto, because if you tried that in Grand Theft Auto, you could ruin the drive, and that would piss everybody off. But if it's not Grand Theft Auto, you can kind of like try things and see how it goes and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another one too. I feel bad. I've had it sitting on 360 forever. I actually just bought it on the remastered version. I was like, you know what? I'm finally gonna buy this. It's gonna go there on that list of, because I never got around to playing it ever. As I said, I've had it for the longest time.
It's outstanding. You'll dig it. There's there's another game that's like kind of in the vein of where you're driving a lot, but I can't think of it offhand. There's a lot, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oddly, there's no. I felt like in the PS2 era there was a handful of them, and then they kind of started dipping away as time went on. I mean, yeah, I guess PS3 had Sleeping Dogs, and it had. Well, then there was like the Godfather games. There was the True Crime Streets of L.A. and True Crime Streets of New York, which were kind of cool. They were just unique. And then of course the original Saints Row, because I think the original Saints Row was kind of a serious game, and then it became a comedy one. I don't know if it was either 2 or 3, but because that first one I think is treated seriously. I don't think that first one's a comedy.
I actually never played those, the original ones. I played 3. I think I got it because it was free on PlayStation Plus. And I remember just being like, I don't know anything about this. I'll check it out. And I remember thinking, if I like it, I'll check out the old ones before I finish it. And I remember having a blast with it. And I remember watching, like, trying to find the originals, and they were hard to find. But then when I saw that they were, like, super serious, like GTA clone to a T, from what I gathered, I was like, I'm okay. I don't think I want to play this. So I just watched one of the story so far videos and called it good.
Yeah. I think I have 1 and 2 and 3 even sitting there. Because I always kind of wanted just to give it. I wanted to give the first one a go. I just wanted to see what that was like. Because I think what it did is it took the almost like the gang stuff from San Andreas and then just ran with it a lot more. I think that was like its kind of main thing. But like so many things, there's only so much time for so many games. A lot of times I feel like I have that like thing where I'm like, man, there's all these games I want to play. I'll buy them, but then I gotta go like, you don't have the time. What are you doing? There's only so many things you can kind of get done, But
like, I'm psyched that I've beaten, I think, 10 or 11 games this year, which I think is a record for me. At least since I'm an adult. But like, yeah, I think this is the most games I've plowed through in a year so far.
Yeah, it's always kind of nice when there's like that. I've been actually doing pretty good myself too. I think I've like knocked out at least a couple a month. So making progress on things. We got some new ones coming out that look pretty sweet. So I think it's going to be a good year. yeah, that backlog that the never ending. Well, that's the thing I like. I think about that nowadays too. This is just another topic in itself. So we probably shouldn't even open this can of worms. But like, it's like when I think of just like younger kids, like. Good fucking luck on trying to catch up on anything. I don't even know how you could. It's like it's almost like it's so daunting when I think about it. Like if I would go like, God, if you were 20 years old right now, or 15 even, and you were like, and let's say you were really into video games and you wanted to catch up. Like you were a kid that like loved the full spectrum. You weren't like biased or anything like that. But yeah, it's just like, even if like you had all the hopes, dreams, and aspirations, like, dude, what? There's no way. There's no way.
And dude, I know we don't want to open this can of worms up, and I know you got to get ready for another podcast, but I did. I was like, oh, I got a half hour today. I'm just gonna open up WrestleQuest again. So we were talking about it, and then I felt really dumb because there is actually ways that you can avoid some of the battles. And I was like, oh, okay, well, and I just unlocked Sergeant Slaughter, so now I'm like, okay, let's give this game a playthrough. Yeah,
you get Sergeant Slaughter going, that might make it more. As I said, that's one of those ones too. I only put a couple hours into myself, and I'm like, at some point, maybe I'll give it one more college try, Because I love the wrestling stuff, It had a little bit kind of like too complex of a battle system, but
yeah, I'm excited to see it now that I've given it such a long time away. But I've also kind of come to the realization, like, hey, if I get bored with it one more time at all, I'm done. I'm just going to chalk the game up as a loss.
Yeah, as I said, sometimes I just say that it's like, I'll give some games some try. I say I give the college try, put an hour or two in, and at least if anything, I tried it out. That's all I. Sometimes that's all you want. You just want to see what it's about. I don't need to go from beginning to end, but I just want to try it out. But yeah, we had a fun time talking all about Mafia, the old country. It's one of those games that I kind of feel, even though I know it came out like a month ago. Like so many things, games kind of come and go so fast that I think it's easy for them to get forgotten even when they are kind of brand new. But I thought this was a great place to jump on at. It only makes me more excited to play 1, 2, and 3 finally after all these years. As I said, I bought them. I have them sitting there. I think my Mafia 1 on PS4 is actually sealed in the case.
Oh, nice.
And because then they put it on PlayStation Plus. I'm like, well, I guess I don't have to open this now. I'll just leave it sealed.
Yeah.
But so I think at some point, maybe after the next couple months or somewhere in between, I'm going to try to find a place to throw on Mafia 1 and just at least chip away at that one and then get into the other ones. But
as it is right now, man, to me, game of the year.
Yeah, Mafia 4 or Mafia the Old Country. I'm having a hard time trying to think of something I like more than this, I really like the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake, but I'm not going to count that one because it's a remake of 2004. So it's like that's what you really like is because of that. But yeah, Mafia 4, the story was probably one of the best stories I've played in a game in a very long time. I'm even having a hard time trying to remember the last time I remember playing a game that I was like, whoa. Like that was that good, So, and there's a lot of good games out there, don't get me wrong, but yeah, this one definitely captured it all, like almost better than any Mafia movie's ever done too, and that's saying a lot. But yeah, beyond all that good stuff, check out more Old Man Orange podcast, Silent Evil episodes, and via VHS on YouTube and Spotify. Till then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Buddy.
And we'll see you some other time.